Hey y'all, it's Allie from Green Witch Mystics. Today I'm going to show you how to wire wrap this faux prong floating bead setting. It's not exactly a prong setting, like a proper prong setting, but it's still really cute. They kind of look like hearts. Check out my Amazon affiliate links down below for products I actually use. Follow me on social media and let's get started. These are the three tools I'm going to be using: my flush cutters, flat nose pliers, and round nose pliers. For wire, I'm going to be using 20 gauge half hard copper. You could use dead soft as well, because with the band you're going to make, it's going to add some extra stiffness when you weave it. You could use 28 gauge wire, 26 gauge wire, or 24 gauge wire to create a weave style band, but for this style particularly, and this ring in particular, I'm going to be using 20 gauge half round wire. I'll be using a fluorite bead, a little bit larger of a bead, and you can definitely do this with really any size bead. You're just gonna have to kind of compensate for the prong size. I'm also going to use a clamp, and I'm going to have a Sharpie on hand, which is not totally necessary. You'll also need a ring mandrel. Well, you don't have to have one, you could use like a marker, but it is nice to know what size you're making of a ring if you're going to sell it. So I always cut way too much off of my spool. So I believe this is around a size, I'm gonna make this around a size 7. And I probably cut like 10 inches, like a foot. I cut the second one a little bit shorter because I realized it was overkill. So if you're working with a finer, more expensive wire like sterling silver, oh my goodness, like sterling silver or gold, you probably want to measure it, which is also what I end up doing. I take my fabric measuring sticky tape and I measure out about how long in inches a size 7 ring is. You can also wrap it around your mandrel and mark it if you want to be exact. So that's what I'm doing. Again, I think this was a size 7. So this way I can be super exact, which you don't have to be by any means, but it makes it easier. If you use a Sharpie, it will polish right off. You can also cover it with wire, but it will rub off. And lining it up, and then I'm going to insert it in the clamp. You can kind of bend the lower part of the wire to the side so it'll fit in the clamp, if that makes sense, kind of like this. And straighten your wire out if you need to. Again, I'm just going to be using half round wire. You can totally weave this. So with half round wire, and even if you are weaving this with thinner wire, you want to be really good about shoving the wire down and keeping it straight. You don't want the two base wires to overlap as you're turning your clamp or you're turning your wire. And you just want to make sure your weave or whatever style you're doing is nice and tight, because as you bend the ring into shape, there might be some spaces and gaps that might expand, and then it doesn't look too pretty. it won't look as nice and tight and neat. So just every couple of rounds, just make sure you're shoving the wire down and flattening it. So I eventually will remove it from the clamp because the clamp just kind of gets more in the way than it is helpful for me personally. So I'm just gonna keep doing this until I get to my so I'm just gonna keep weaving this until I get to my Sharpie mark. So I'm getting close to it. I'm gonna check to make sure, and you'll also, depending on what size bead you use, you'll want to check on your mandrel to make sure that it's taking up the right diameter, because I'm using a bigger bead for this, I don't really need to finish weaving it anymore. But if I were to be using the smaller labradorite bead and not the larger fluorite one, I would probably need to go a couple more rounds around the base wire because the bead is just smaller. So and you're gonna thread the bead through whatever wire you use to weave with. And see, here's what I mean. If I were to use a smaller bead, smaller than that, I would need to do a couple more rounds on the base wire. See? It would just be a little too loose, or like loose looking. And this is optional, but I'm just gonna kind of hammer. You probably couldn't do this with like a tight weave, but if you're using half round wire or doing just kind of a wraparound coil type of vibe, if you have a hard ring mandrel and a hammer, you can flatten out and really shape your ring properly and work hard in it. So that's what I just did there. But again, that's optional. So I'm going to cut off some of the excess wire, and because it's half round, I'm going to straighten it out because it's a little crooked, and you'll just thread your you'll thread your bead through that wire. And you'll want to pay attention to the other side because you're going to have to wrap around a couple more times. You kind of want it to be a little bit lower, like you want them to be a little asymmetrical because you're going to add a couple more rounds. So if that makes sense, you want it to be even. So you wouldn't start them evenly because you have to add a couple more rotations to the other side. So you'll want the other side that you're going to finish and connect this to be a little bit shorter, so that when you finish it off, it matches height-wise. So you can just fill that gap in and it'll be nice and even on both sides. So I'm going to cut off the extra wire just because I don't need all that. But don't cut off too much because then you can't take it back. It's still a lot. So here's where we start the prong process. You'll just split the wires and make them kind of an oval shape, and the main focus of this is just going to be getting it symmetrical. So whichever wire that you wrapped around first and is touching the bottom, the base, the band, if you will, of the ring, you're gonna wrap that first. So you're gonna wrap it around once, and then like a half a time, because you're gonna snip that off. And anytime you can snip and finish off a wire where it's not going to be pressing against the person's skin that's wearing it, always do that. So this will be clipped and finished off on the outside. And then we'll take the other wire and wrap it kind of over top and pretty much just do the same thing we did to the other side. Wrap it around once. If you want to make kind of like a fun, intricate ring band, leave me a comment and I can redo this video again and show different styles of and ways to finish off the band. And I will apologize, I don't know if you've noticed during this video, but to the far left, the light is a little funky. I was using an extra light source that showed up kind of funky on camera. I don't really know how to fix that, but I will never use that light ever again. So hopefully it hasn't been too annoying, this video, and hopefully anytime you rewatch this, it's not the only thing you're going to focus on. But yeah, that is it. I'll do it again to the other side, but that's the gist. There's nothing too fancy that I'm doing with the band and how to finish it off. So again, whatever wire is touching the band first, so that one to the right is going to be the one that I finish off on the band first and attach first, and then the one that's on the outside will be the one you finish last. That's all there is to it. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. Please feel free to leave suggestions down below for future tutorials. Let me know if you'd like me to rework this in another tutorial and show you different ways to decorate the band. But yeah, I love this style. It's so cute. These always sell pretty well at markets. And yeah, it's just like a little flower, like a little heart prong. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. Follow, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.